We are back, part three of Smack Talk, episode four. We are now on Mark Henry versus The Big Show. Let's see here. What is there to talk about? They've done this match before. They didn't even end it for the most part, and I am very, very confused about how this match is going to end. I expect Mark Henry to win the match, but I don't know how they can do that and not make Mark Henry look, not Mark Henry, make Big Show look weak. Now,
Daniel Bryan heel turn. Simple.
the Daniel Bryan thing. All right, now we talked a little bit about this before. Let's go right into that. The Daniel Bryan thing with Mark Henry, I think, is really interesting because I am not the biggest Daniel Bryan supporter, but if you're going to give this guy Money in the Bank, you should at least have him look somewhat credible. And he's right at a level right now where if he lost to somebody like Kurt Hawkins, I don't think anybody would really expect that as, oh well, yeah, uh, that was a struggle of a match. No, it would just be like, all right, well, Daniel Bryan lost again. He's really getting all of his credibility taken away. And even though he's getting beaten up by the quote unquote world's strongest man, he's still just getting his ass kicked.
I'm just waiting for him to get anal raped by Mark Henry. That's
Somebody's
the
gonna.
only thing they haven't done.
I don't know. Maybe that's how they're going to push it. It started out as him just arguing backstage, and then a match, and now a jump backstage. Maybe next week that'll be what you can look forward to at SmackDown.
And then anal rape.
They could do that to the Oksana theme, whatever happens when she comes in.
That would be hilarious. So you can just see Daniel Bryan just lying on the floor.
You hear that? I can't do a good saxophone noise, but
And then the big show coming out looking disgusted.
well, he is sexual chocolate, so.
Oh god.
But,
Someone's getting ham up their ass.
WWE is going to listen to this and get so many bad ideas and actually do them. But the Daniel Bryan thing, all right. Some people have actually said to me that they expect Daniel Bryan to cash in at the end of this match to have the two of them because Big Show has said that somebody is going to get taken away and carted off and all this kind of stuff. And if it was Mark Henry, then maybe Daniel Bryan could just cash in real quick and everything like that. I'm not expecting that to happen. I actually have a poll up on my website that I started a long time ago of people thinking whether or not Daniel Bryan will even lose his Money in the Bank. I expected him to lose the Money in the Bank very early on to Cody Rhodes or maybe to Wade Barrett, just to anybody, or at the very least to lose his cash in. Some people, actually most people, if you look at the poll, disagree with me and they think that he's going to win. There's something like last time I checked, 90 people had voted that yes, he is going to win the world championship, and only like 20 or something thought that he was going to lose. But
Well, the thing is, it's, the World Championship at the moment has got about as much value as the WWE EC title or ECW title had. It doesn't, anybody can hold it now. You could literally have Kurt Hawkins just come in and just win the title because no one gives a shit. That belt has literally changed hands so many times and been given to guys who don't really need that, who should never have held a world title, even if they went to TNA. And it's literally, if Brian wins it, kudos to Brian. He can say he's a world champion, but it's not really a world title anymore. It's just, this thing they give to people who just don't deserve it.
well, I think Mark Henry deserves it. I think he's actually doing a good
Really?
job. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Mark Henry's world title reign.
Well, I
But
think his push was great, but his feud with the Big Show, everything after Randy Orton, just hasn't really done anything for me. And the whole, redoing the whole Brock Lesnar Big Show ring collapse thing, that I never just sat there and went, "Oh my god, that was amazing." I just sat there, looked at it, and thought, "Okay, that's been done. Nice to see they're going back to the well again."
yeah.
They've done nothing original with this feud, and the fact they've added Bryan into this feud, first looking like a scared little puppy when Mark tried to, coax him into a match, and then the next week having him try to grow a pair of balls and face Mark Henry in the ring and getting destroyed then. And now this week's SmackDown coming up, spoiler alert for anybody who doesn't want to hear this, having Henry destroy him at the beginning of SmackDown. it just there's nothing viable with this. The best thing they could have done is either made it a three-way match with adding Bryan into there to develop some interest, or have Bryan just turn heel and cost Big Show the chance at the title. Just basically going back to what Big Show did. He was literally using Bryan as part of his mind games against Henry anyway, trying to coax him into winning, into cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase to screw with Henry. So I'll just have like one of those two scenarios. At least it develops something interesting. I don't want to see him cash it in until Mania. I want him to at least have some credibility. But he could do what Punk did, use his own his own ethos as a way to turn on the crowd. You guys didn't believe me. I did things the right way. You had all these guys pulling in MITV screw jobs. I didn't. I remained honest, and you're booing me. Blah blah blah. Have him go total heel and moral. Rather than basically have him cash the MITB in, because it does nothing original for him, does it? It
Yeah,
doesn't help his character at all.
unfortunately, with that World Heavyweight Championship right now, you have three of the most uninteresting superstars on SmackDown vying for it.
And there you go.
And like anyway, whoever comes out of this match Sunday, it doesn't matter. That neither of them I feel can highlight Mania and not get drowned out by every other single match on the card. There's just no, and like you said several times, is there's no fire behind that title anymore because, especially with the brand mergers again, there's no point to it. You should just have one champion for the whole company.
Not really.
Um,
I believe, because the problem is, if you have one champion, there's a lot of guys who deserve the world championship aren't going to get it. And as seeing what's going on at the moment, you're giving the title back to Cena every 5 minutes. You
mhm.
you need those two world titles, but you can literally. I I believe it's the booking committee's problem. They're not, I don't know if it falls on Vince's shoulders, or if Stephanie, has got an issue with it, or if it's whoever's booking SmackDown, probably Michael Hayes. They literally don't know what to do with the title. And, the push that Mark Henry got, where he was gradually built up as this monster heel, worked. His matches with Orton, where Orton was literally, selling for Henry, worked. But it's everything else after it. They totally rewrote, undid every little thing that they did to build Henry's credibility up, because they had him running scared from the Big Show.
Mhm.
Well, I disagree with you about that though, because I think if you're gonna have anybody be the first person to put up a fight with Mark Henry, the Big Show is the best option, because if there's anybody in WWE that looks equally or more imposing than Mark Henry, it's got to be Big Show. It's not going to be somebody like John Cena or CM Punk or something like that. So I think Mark Henry having a little bit of a problem with Big Show makes perfect sense. The only problem I have with it is the build's been pretty generic, and I think if they would have held off and had this first match at Survivor Series instead of last month, I think that would have come out much better, because one of the things that started this feud was Mark Henry screwing up Big Show's leg with the chair. And I don't know if their plan for TLC is to do what they've done in the past, where they have multiple TLC matches, or if they break it up with the tables, ladders, and chairs
Oh
matches.
God, please not Mark Henry versus Big Show in a TLC. My
That's
God,
that's one thing, is I can't picture them doing that. Neither of these guys can really climb up a ladder unless
imagine Big Show climbing up a ladder.
they had that special ladder that they've used in the past, but I don't think that they're going to have a TLC match between these two. I think instead, and I can't believe that I'm saying it because I think it's such a terrible idea in the first place. They had the match before, it was Batista against somebody, I can't remember who, that they had a chairs match. Now, it basically was just a no disqualification match, and they
With
didn't do
chairs.
anything but chairs, but I think they could have had some kind of a stipulation where Big Show comes back at Survivor Series. He's been 5 months out instead of 4 months, and gets his one-on-one match with Mark Henry, and they do something maybe not necessarily they break the ring or anything like that, but they do something controversial. Maybe they both get counted out. Maybe they both get knocked out. Maybe they both Mark Henry goes to do the chair spot again, and Big Show gets the chair and hits him over the head and gets disqualified. Something like that. Something to happen with the chair to bring the chair back into it, and then they could do a chairs match between the two at TLC, and then that could be the end of their feud. I don't think that having 3 matches is going to be great, especially if their last match, other than the ending of it, really there wasn't that much that people were talking about. Now, this
Yeah,
match
that's the
has no
thing.
stipulation for it, so this match either is going to be probably as good or worse than the other match because we've already seen it before. And you can't just have another the ring breaks again unless they do something completely different. They can't just have the same spot and break the ring. So if they want to build this to a third match at TLC, which again I can't see them doing a TLC match, I don't know what they can do that can end this and still have it have enough steam to go into the next one. Because if Big Show wins the title, which I don't think is going to happen, then they could do the rematch. But they're doing that already with Punk and Del Rio. From
One word,
expecting
JBL.
how so?
Well, it's not really a word, but Well,
One
J-
acronym.
yeah, exactly. One acronym. Now, if you think about it, right, with him, he had several competitors for his title, like several guys vying for his title at once. That's why he was being sort of like the scared champion, and they shoved him in loads of scenarios, going against every single contender, to the point where he was facing one of them at each pay per view, and then ended up facing all of them in a Hell in a Cell match. Why
Mhm.
not do this with Henry? Every guy, like you could have had Big Show returning and then Kane return and start going after Henry. You know, him getting afraid of Daniel Bryan, like cashing in, trying to punk Daniel Bryan out, then having Bryan added to the mix, have Christian added to the mix, have Barrett buying for it as well, and then Henry trying to beat all these other guys, and protect his spot as world champion. That would have been more believable. That would have made the belt like seem, more than what it is at the moment because you've got so many people competing for it. But now it's just it was so the build was so lackluster. The match was terrible, and everything that's leading up to this new match with Show and Henry hasn't kept my interest. It hasn't piqued my interest whatsoever. And the fact that he's just destroyed Daniel Bryan as well, who's supposed to be, vying for this world champion. He's got a guaranteed world championship in that damn briefcase. You've just literally made the belt. It's like they don't even care about SmackDown anymore, even though it has the better wrestling.
Yeah. It. I think with Big Show and Mark Henry, this is the wall. This is the end of the road for these two.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, they're for me, big. If they wanted like this to be the big feud and then like make Daniel Bryan look as the underdog, this would have been something closer to Mania. Have Big Show wait a little bit longer and then come in. But I honestly, just looking at these two men, the way they've built them as monsters, and I'm thankful they have built them as monsters again and not people who got beat by Stephanie McMahon and a one-legged dude. Um, it's just these guys are monsters, and whoever walks out with the title, where do you go from there without keeping the feud, this stale feud, going, and interact with somebody new, such as like, do you bring Orton back into the picture, or do you bring like Sheamus into the picture? I just don't know what to do with it, and that's where I think the lack of interest comes because it just doesn't make sense.
So, what are your predictions officially? Mark Henry or Big Show? I'm going with Mark Henry.
It's so painful because I don't want to see either of them at TLC.
So, your
Um,
prediction is it doesn't matter. TLC will suck.
Just say Stephanie McMahon.
yeah, I think it's gonna be Henry, and then a very shitty ass match at TLC in Baltimore. Baltimore, I'm sorry.
What do you think, Mike? Henry or Big Show?
You know what? I'm gonna say Henry with Daniel Bryan interference. I say Bryan, cost Big Show the win. I'm gonna go with that.
Huh.
Even though I'm gonna be totally wrong, I'm just gonna go with that.
That would actually be somewhat interesting.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Daniel Bryan, if he screws the match up for Big Show, do you think he gets added as a third man in a triple threat for a TLC match?
I believe so, or it turns into a Mark Henry and Daniel Bryan against sort of like the Big Show thing, and then Bryan slowly just works his way into the whole heel feud. But I'm thinking hopefully, if they actually care about the fans, which I doubt, they do work it into a triple threat match.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't like I said, the confusion behind this World Heavyweight Championship storylines is just difficult. And they need to start getting, if they're going to have Bryan walk into Mania, he needs to start being a main event factor, not
They should
somebody
have
who
done this
jobs.
ages ago. They should have
Yeah.
really built the guy up ages ago. A few wins here and there,
I
you
still
know.
can't picture him winning the championship, especially not at WrestleMania. So I'm still, even though everybody on my site's poll and everybody that I talk to disagrees with me, I'm still of the mindset that Daniel Bryan does not become world champion at WrestleMania. Doesn't even cash in at WrestleMania.
I believe that he will be at Mania and that he will either be defending the world title at Mania or have his world title shot at Mania. I do not feel, I feel at the moment his value as a face is not going to work. Not anymore.
No.
He just literally, they've buried him so far down the bottom. The only other choice is to turn him heel, pique everyone's interest, have him align himself with someone who's good on the mic to help get his character over because they've just buried him so badly, literally. So it it really annoys me how badly they bury it reminds me of CM Punk, but Punk could at least he managed to capture the audience's attention while the WWE were just using him as a pinata.
Yeah,
There's your new gimmick character, the Pinata.
unless he lines himself with Ziggler and Swagger, that would make it interesting. Like
Or
takes
even with
Vicky on.
Barrett or Rhodes,
Yeah,
have him align himself with those guys as the proverbial world champion for now. That would make more sense. Even they can even do a horseman gimmick, have him aligned with the stable until he ends up cashing his money in the bank on one of them, like say for instance Barrett, who's the world champion. Have those guys turn on him, boom. He's got the heat, he's got the face heat now. You could easily build that up. There is no reason, and it again, I put this down to the writing committee, the booking committee, whatever the hell they're called. They're they're the problem here with this. They could have easily booked Bryan much better. There's loads of ideas they could have done with him. I don't believe they're doing this because they have nothing for him. It's more so because they want to put their entire focus on guys like Orton, guys like Henry, Big Show, and to a lesser extent Christian. They don't really want to do anything with Bryan, which is a damn shame. The guy's got a lot of potential. Yes, his mic work needs a lot of work, but there's loads of ways they could have dealt with this.
Well, when we go
That's just one small aspect.
when we go into part four, we're going to talk about the traditional Survivor Series elimination match, which seems to get forgotten every single year. But we're not going to forget it here, so watch part four for that.